All right, Shalom Israel, giving all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Rakah Kadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, double honors to apostles, elders, bishops, great millstone, most high taste to brothers, teaching word for the hopeful elect, soon to be like most high will, to the hopeful extended elect, Shalom blessings. We continue to exalt those names. Yahweh, he is to be, he exists. His son Yahweh Shai, who they ignorantly call Christ, which means he delivers. And, I'm gonna get this word America. I'm gonna call this America Vespucci. It's really Amerigo Vespucci. It says second 2020 February 1512 was an Italian explorer and navigator from Republic of Florence for whom America is named. Now, if you go to the origin of the word, I meant to look up Leo Scipio Africanus. I'll do him too. But so, it says in the scriptures they named the lands after their names. So that's like if you have a household, it's either the Johnson family, the Smith family, the Jackson family. That's your house, and then you own land, and that's so land is named after you. This is the property of Jackson's, property of Smith, property of Johnson's. So that's what it's supposed to be. So all America, and when I say the property named after your name and the Johnson, that means that's your seed line. So America is named after Amerigo Vespucci, and all the people in America should be some related to Amerigo Vespucci, some way, shape, form, you know, seed wise, meaning biologically. And we're not. We were brought here in slavery, on slave ships, like it's documented, which they're trying to cover up with AI and all this nonsense, and all this distraction, the deportation and immigration thing, and what's happening in Cali and all that. It's all a distraction, man. It's real, it's reality, but it's a distraction too. So all this, whose land is it, this land is our land, or whose land is it, whatever. Our people were here before they were, but when they conquered this place, they they named the land after their name. So we're not biologically children of Amerigo Vespucci. So that's how these people are confused, because you got to go back to the origin of things. Where you really from? Who are you? It's people that were born here, but have their parents were born in Mexico, or some of the South Americas, or even different parts of on the other side. And they say, well, but let's say you're a black person, so-called black person, you're born in Germany. They're not gonna call you a German. They're gonna be like, well, how many black people? You could do that research statistically. According to statistics, how many black people are in Germany. They're not gonna call you a German, and if they do, they're gonna call you a black German. So you can't just be a German. And over here, we shouldn't just be Americans. That's why they got the term African American, even though we're not Africans, because that's the next thing I'm going to talk about, Leo Scipio Africanus. So, and then we're black, and then we're, blacks in America and black America and all that. So it's a term because we're not related to Amerigo Vespucci. So it has to be some separate identification. And our people don't even know that. Now, do our people want to be called Americans? Well, if you do, you're going to be, you're not gonna have your identity no more. You know, and they love our people love the word. I mean, the identity of being black. You know, black in America. I think they had a song by what's his name, Jesse Johnson, being black in America. Uh, um, you know, James Brown thing, black and I'm proud, and and living in America, and expressing your pain about being a so-called black man in America. Well, if you're considered American, then all that goes away. So they hold on. That's why they hold on to that black label, because they know they're not from America. And then if they say uh, uh, African, well, let's see who Leo Africanus is. It might not say that he was that African name not here. Leo Scipio. See, there's a Leo Africanus who's a diplomat and a writer, but there's a Leo Scipio Africanus. That's who we talking about. Roman general and statesman. Uh, Publius Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus was a Roman general and statesman who was one of the main architects of Rome's victory against Carthage in the second, probably Punic War, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, against the second Punic War against Carthage. Who was the Red Roman? Let me see. Let me put this in. Who was Africa named by? Named after. The content of Africa's name isn't directly attributed to one specific person. Instead, the origin of the name is complex and debated, with various theories suggesting different possible origins. While Africa might be originated from a Roman term, see, and I just read Leo Scipio Africanus from Rome, a Greek word or a biblical figure is more likely a combination of these factors rather than a singular named individual. Well, let's go to that scripture. After they named the lands, after they I meant to put King James Version. Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, and that's a common thing. It's not only with the Edomites. It's a common thing, especially. Well, let's say you own something, or you even buy something from somebody, and you like a dog. You're gonna name it according to what you're gonna want to name it. That person might have a different name for the dog, but when you own it, you're gonna name it what you want to name it. And usually, if you have pride in your people and and that's when coming from a royal family, the father everything is broken down to where fathers don't even matter no more. So people just name their children anything. They name their lands anything and shit. They name their lands, even with our people with ratchet ass names and shit. You know, even in the industry, they name themselves after a gun or after money, after a sex symbol, sexy red and all that. Nah, it was much more value back then. So people really named themselves after royalty back then. You have Rothschild, and a lot of the Rothschild's children, or they use the word Goldberg. That's why Whoopi married a so-called white man, and her name is Goldberg. Sarah Silverman, she's a rat. She's a rat child. Um, the They had a show back then, way back then, called Silver Spoons, but it was so-called white people, knowing damn well Solomon wasn't a so-called white man, but and he had his vessels of gold and vessels of silver and all that, and he was a royal king, after his father, King David. So when you're a royal, look, it says about the vanity of wealth, and it says this verse is part of a broader discussion in Psalms 49 about the vanity of wealth and the fleeing nature of earthly possessions. Yeah, wealth comes from a family, your family structure. You know, I might get into that word, coming videos, but when you're wealthy, that means you come from a family. Let me look it up in the etymology right quick. State or condition of happiness, well-being, joy, also material possessions come from that word will. Let's see, health is like wealth, same thing. If you if health if you eat healthy and you grow up in a household that eats healthy, you a parent, your children gonna be healthy. And then if they keep that same, uh, the same law of health, their children gonna be healthy, you know. And they say, well, they have this thing say, well, it's hereditary. Well, like cancer and all that. Well, because they eat the same BS, you know. Well, your father had high blood pressure. It runs in the family because that's what they eat. If they would eat right, and then, or you could even break the curses. Like, damn, you outlived your parents. Yeah, because I didn't follow that BS that they were eating. All right, so it says worldly riches, gold, wealth, welfare, well-being, prosperity, good fortune. That all should come from the will. There go that word will. I don't know, related to well and will. When your parents get old, they make out a will, and they give their children money of their will. Now, they don't give the world money. They don't give, and it's usually immediate family. But of course, in the scripture, we're all family, the house of Israel, but still, there's houses and there's different tribes that hold different offices and different things that help us stay together as a nation. Let me see, common will. See what that says. A commonwealth or its people, the public good, the general welfare of the nation or community. See, common, and it talks about the commonwealth of Israel. So it's not talking about everybody. Let me see. So if I strike Commonwealth, if I strike gold, or I'm not going to give everybody my gold. If now it's kind of unheard of now because families are broken up. Now everybody's divided and shit. You got fathers, killing their sons, vice versa. Mothers killing their daughters, vice versa. It's all broken up. Of course, it doesn't make any sense in that matter. I'm talking about when we were together as a family. When you do love your family and love your neighbor, your dwelling as yourself, which is your own family. Because I have enough property, enough money to where my neighbor is my cousin or my neighbor is my a son or daughter. If my son or daughter loves me, they're not gonna be too far from me, man. They're gonna live. They could live right next door. But people, these days, the children are rebellious. They want to get away from their parents as far as they can. So they ain't gonna move next door. Cause soon as they come outside, yeah, I got to worry about mom, pop peeping in on me, worrying about my relationship. What kind of person I'm with and all that. So I'm gonna move out a state, or I'm gonna move in another city. So then you have different, just like Apostle Tahar was going into like 15-minute cities, and if you got 15-minute cities, man, you're it definitely should be your family within 15 minutes of your surroundings. But nah, it's everything but that. It's convenience stores, it's fast food places, it's everything this devil is implementing in our neighborhoods to keep us separate and shit. You know? You can't even find a good piece of box these days. And I'm gonna say that because it ain't no virgins left, and all these women, most of these women are whores, not all. But you can't even go down the street to get a good piece of box. You can get you a 2-piece because you pay money for it. But to get box, you're like, yeah, I don't want to spend 100. I can spend $5 on a 2-piece, but $100 on some box that's might not even be be satisfying. Hell no. I'm just making a point, man. I'm just throwing that in there. But anyway, Commonwealth of Israel refers to the citizenship or belonging to the people of God, specifically Israel. Well, that's the people of God. At that time, Gentiles were described as being alienated from the Commonwealth and strangers to the covenants of promise. Yeah, because they were outside of the city. They were outside of, they, like, your city was your people. So if you born outside of Jerusalem, you'll be a stranger. So then you gotta go and then you gotta tell them, well, were you born outside Jerusalem? Yeah. Who is your father? Well, my father is King David, King Solomon, so and so. And they be like, oh, okay. Well, because, you expand your borders, and for any reason, you might just, like, okay, I'm going to move out. Like your parents, like I said in the last video, you could be in Mexico. Your parents be in Mexico, and but they came to America, so you got American citizenship. But your parents were born in Mexico, and they might still be illegal. But you were born in Mexico. So when the deportation people come, or the immigration people come, they're gonna approach your parents like, well, we gotta take you back to Mexico. But they'll let their children stay in America because they was born in America. But really, they're all they should that should be they should be get an automatic pass, or at least send the children back to Mexico to where they still be with their parents because the parents are overseers. But either way, it's division. So that's what happened to Israel. Like, oh shit, well, we're gonna have to separate you. Well, I want to get in. I want to come to the Passover. Well, you have to have a passport or some kind of certification that you in Jerusalem, or you know what I'm saying. Who knows? They probably had a method like that. We'll charge you. We did have wicked kings back then. We'll charge you to come to the Passover to Jerusalem. Not to come to the Passover, but actually to get into Jerusalem. Especially when if it was wars going on, just like America, they'd be like, well, we want to see if you got citizenship here because we're in war with Russia, we're in war with China, so we don't want to think that you might be a spy or an agent or somebody to set us up. And that's a front because it's a lot of fucking Afghanistans here. It's a lot of, Chinese people here and shit. It's a lot of, because they did business with them. But they're not searched down, we become the targets of America, and these other nations are the ones that keep fighting with America. Shit, you ain't never heard of a all black community or all black, you know, a group or organization holding arms and really going to war with America. Usually, it's they protesting and asking for rights and shit. Even with that Black Panther shit, they were bearing arms, but they never did shit. Ain't nobody bust a shot. Like they say, you won't bust a grape in a food fight. They didn't do shit. It says at the same time, Gentiles were described as being alien commonwealth or strangers to the covenant of promise, essentially. So those Gentiles were really Israelites. Essentially, it highlights the special relationship and privileges that God's people, including Jewish people, which is God's people. What are you talking about? Had with them, while Gentiles were considered outsiders because they were born outside of the country or of Jerusalem. Outside, that's an outsider. If you born outside of America, but your parents are born in America, they're gonna ask for citizenship. You be like, well, my parents are here. You know, and I'm underage. I'm only 16 years old. I'm still under the supervision of my parents, but I can't get in here. Y'all won't let me get a passport to live with my parents, and I'm underage. Who am I supposed to be supervised by? No, you got to get a passport. You got to get a citizenship. And they look at you funny too. They look at you like, damn, he's not an American citizen. He might be a spy. He might do, and that's the same thing that happened in Jerusalem. So the Gentiles were Israelites in the Gentile state of mind, or outsiders, strangers, considered strangers born outside of Jerusalem. Anyway, so when we're born in a certain city or country, and like you go to Africa, all those people are Africans. They should be, but you got West Africa, you know, because of history of us fleeing to West Africa. So, like I said, when you talk about like somebody like Godfrey, he never tells you he's from Africa. He'll only say that when he try to have some kind of you know point to make when it comes to history and the countries. But when you ask him, you like, where you from? He gonna say West Africa, man. He's from Nigeria. He ain't gonna say African. But you might say that here too. You know why? Well, if somebody say, well, where you from? Well, I'm from L.A. Where you from? I'm from, because they captives in America. If America was beautiful to them, they would say, I'm from America. I mean, like when they outside of when they outside of this country and they go to another country and they say, where you from? They might say America. Uh, but let's say it's Mac 10 or somebody that's kind of known. Uh, they're gonna the other people are gonna say, well, oh, you from Inglewood, huh? They're not gonna say America. Because we don't really claim America like that. Jake don't really claim America like that, man. All these hoods and stuff are cities. Compton, Inglewood, New York City, Bronx, Brooklyn, St. Louis, and all that. And then people like Nelly, people like Wu Tang. They get on and they promote the city, and they never promote America. They never promote America, man. They don't even do that when they go outside of the country, I'm pretty sure. you know. And then you tell the story, and you hear the story, and you be like, yeah, I grew up. And you might grow up from Boston, and you be like, yeah, I'm from Boston. And then and then the people hear about you and all that. They ain't concerned about you being born in America. They want to know everything about that little city you from, that little hood you from. You come out with a story, or write a book. They don't want to hear about you fucking nothing about America. They want to hear about that little city you were born in. Cause they know Jake really don't got no ties with this America and shit. It doesn't fit their fabric, the story of their fabric, man. If I'm saying it right. Anyway, so yeah, name and designation. So yeah, if Jake say he want to go back to Africa, guess where he gonna end up? West Africa, pretty much. You know, cause his spirit ain't is not gonna his spirit don't go with all Africa, all Africans. You know, but that's the same thing back then. A lot of our people knew that Gentiles were Israelites. They just was like, no, nah, we don't want to deal with them because they going off. They knew they were They knew they was Israelites. They saw the spirit and everything, just like they do today. Just like these all uh, Negroes and shit, these ninjas. When if they see Rosie Perez and a lot of and a lot of the Puerto Ricans, a lot of the Latins and all that, they can't deny that they're not, in their spirit, they can't deny. It's some deep hatred behind that, because in the spirit it says so. That's why it says that you should know them by the spirit. You can't tell me Rosie Perez ain't no Jake, man. You can't tell me that Fat Joe ain't no Jake. You know? And all the Puerto Ricans and Latinos, man. So this is all bugged out, man. These people are all bugged out. And you know what? That's why America is bugged out. Because everybody just don't know where they're from, don't know where to go, don't know history, don't know, what they should be a part of, don't know where their people are actually from. A lot of these Caucasian people don't even know they people are from the Caucasus Mountains and shit. They still got Caucasian on their applications today. They say, "Are you a Caucasian?" And you know what I seen too? They got Black and African American on the same application. What the fuck is that? I thought Black people were African Americans. But let it be told the right way. You could be an African in America, and that's a real African, a Hamite in America. That's what African American is. It's not so-called black people. So you're not African American. You're not black. And you're not the children of Leo Scipio Africanus. And you're not the children of Amerigo Vespucci. And it clearly tells you who you are. You're the children of Israel. Israel is a people before it is a place. Just because the land has been overtaken, once destroyed and overtaken, that don't mean you're not those same people. Because if somebody tear down my house and I'm the Jones family, if I move to another house, it's still the Jones family. And they still gonna see my pictures on the wall, and I'm gonna still have my name in that house in my name, Jones. Put in the name of Jones. I'm telling I'm just saying, I'm using using a term of American term. Well, that was named, but you get what I'm saying. That's another thing. The names change, but the people don't. The spirit don't. And the names used to go along with who you were as a growth in your family. You know, that's why they had this first, Howard the second, Howard the third, Howard the fourth, Howard the fifth, Howard the sixth, Howard the seventh. It's still you. You know? They don't, how many times have you heard that term these days? So and so the first, the second, third. You don't even hear junior no more. Because they breaking up families and shit, and people are not really even tied to the ancient and old customs of how we used to operate and do things. You used to be proud of your father and where you came from. I'm from the so and so family, the good stock of Abraham, it says in the scriptures. And nobody's proud of their families no more. A lot of these people are ashamed of their own families.